On Easter Sunday, the President of the United States posted a message to the world on social media that no sitting commander-in-chief has ever written before. It contained profanity, it contained a religious invocation, it contained a direct, named threat to destroy the civilian power infrastructure of a nation of 90 million people. And it came with a 48-hour countdown. This is not a drill. This is not political theater. This is a series of small, fast-moving escalations that has rapidly evolved into a precursor for the most dangerous deadline in the 36-day-old US-Israel war on Iran. A deadline that expires tomorrow. According to Axios, CBS News, CNN, and Anadolu Agency, all publishing simultaneously this morning, Trump posted his explosive ultimatum on Truth Social at approximately 10:05 a.m. Eastern Time on April 5th, 2026. The message read, "Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the Strait or you'll be living in hell. Just watch." Iran's military has already responded. Kuwait's oil complex is already on fire. Haifa took a missile strike early this morning. And somewhere in the diplomatic back channels of Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey, a deal that may or may not exist is either being born or falling apart. What happens next could fundamentally change everything. And the world is simply not ready for what's coming. Welcome to the most consequential 48 hours since this war began. Today's briefing covers what we are calling Operation Hellgate. Not a military operation name, but the strategic reality this conflict has entered as of this morning. A full-scale, multi-theater campaign with simultaneous military operations, a diplomatic countdown, a rescued American airman, a rejected ultimatum, and a sitting president threatening to switch off the lights for 90 million people, all unfolding in the space of a single Easter Sunday. Everything you are about to hear is drawn from verified, cross-reference reporting from Axios, CBS News, CNN, Al Jazeera, Anadolu Agency, Reuters, The National, Iran International, NPR, The Times of Israel, and The Jerusalem Post. 6 theaters, 1 deadline, and a planet watching with its breath held. This is the decisive moment. Let's wargame it. Let's build the full intelligence picture, layer by layer. Layer 1, the ultimatum itself. According to Axios and Anadolu Agency, Trump's Truth Social post on April 5th represents the third iteration of an ultimatum that has been moving targets for nearly 2 weeks. On March 21st, Trump first threatened to obliterate Iran's power plants if the Strait of Hormuz was not reopened within 48 hours. On March 23rd, as CBS News confirmed, he paused the ultimatum citing very good and productive conversations with Iranian intermediaries. Conversations Iran publicly denied. He then extended the deadline again to April 6, allegedly at Iran's request. And now, on April 5th, Easter Sunday, with that deadline 1 day away, Trump dropped his most incendiary post yet. The strategic notes are clear. The Strait of Hormuz, through which approximately 20% of the world's oil normally flows, has been reduced, according to NPR, from 150 vessel transits per day to between 10 and 20. Brent crude oil surged nearly 8% last week to approximately $109 per barrel. The economic leverage Iran is deploying through this single choke point is decimating global energy markets in real time, and Trump's patience, never his defining virtue, has run out. Layer 2, the rescue of the F-15E crew. According to The National, CBS News, and Reuters, both crew members of the downed F-15E Strike Eagle are now safely recovered. The pilot was rescued in the hours immediately following the shootdown on Friday. The weapons system officer, missing for nearly 2 days while Iranian forces and a bounty-offering regional governor searched for him, was pulled out in what Trump described as one of the most daring search and rescue operations in American military history, conducted from deep inside the mountains of Iran. The WSO was described as seriously wounded, but he will be just fine. 2 C-130 aircraft were reportedly intentionally destroyed by US forces during the rescue operation to prevent their capture. Each aircraft cost, per Anadolu Agency reporting, over $100 million. That is the price of one rescue, and Iran knows it. Layer 3, Iran's countermoves. Iran is not sitting still. According to Al Jazeera, Tehran's military command flatly rejected Trump's ultimatum on Saturday. General Ali Abdullahi Ali Abadi described the threat as, and this is a direct characterization from AFP reporting, a helpless, nervous, unbalanced, and stupid action. He then matched Trump's own language, warning that the gates of hell will open for you. And then Iran acted. Per the Times of Israel, a cluster bomb-tipped Iranian missile struck a residential building in Haifa, injuring 4 people, including 1 seriously. According to Al Jazeera and the Quint, Iranian drones struck Kuwait's Shuwaik oil sector complex, causing fires and significant material damage. 2 power and water desalination plants in Kuwait were also hit, taking 2 generating units offline. Iran's Revolutionary Guard separately fired on an Israel-linked vessel in the Strait of Hormuz. Bahrain reported at least 8 drone incursions over its airspace in 24 hours. The UAE said its air defenses had engaged 23 ballistic missiles and 56 drones in the past 48 hours alone. Layer 4. The diplomatic dead end. Wikipedia's continuously updated article on the 2025-2026 Iran-US negotiations, sourcing Iran International, Axios, and multiple diplomatic wire reports, confirms that back-channel talks conducted through Pakistan have hit a wall. Iran rejected America's 15-point peace proposal in late March. It presented 5 counter-conditions, including international recognition of Iranian sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz, a demand Washington cannot accept without surrendering the entire strategic rationale for the war. Iran International reported that Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf stated flatly that Iran cannot be forced into submission. And yet, Trump told Fox News reporter Trey Yingst this morning that there is a good chance of a deal by Monday. Whether that reflects reality or is itself a negotiating tactic deployed through the press remains one of the most precarious open questions of this conflict. 4 potential moves, 4 different futures. Here is how this plays out. Iran's most sophisticated weapon in this conflict has never been a missile. It has been patience. The asymmetric approach Tehran is executing right now is methodical. Hold the Strait, strike economic infrastructure in Gulf states allied to Washington, and let the global economic pain do the diplomatic work that no army could. As NPR reported, Brent crude has already broken through $109 a barrel. The Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago's president, Austin Goolsbee, told CBS News explicitly that the Iran war risks fueling inflation in a way that could prevent the Fed from cutting interest rates at all in 2026. That means higher mortgages, higher grocery bills, higher fuel costs, all arriving simultaneously in an American economy still scarred from post-pandemic inflation. This is Iran's economic force projection in its purest form. Scenario 1 is the world where Iran simply refuses to blink by Monday's deadline, betting that Trump's ultimatum is, like its 2 predecessors, another deadline that will shift again. If the back-channel negotiations are as close to collapse as Wikipedia's sourcing suggests, this may be the most likely scenario of the 4. And if it unfolds, Tuesday becomes the most destructive single day of strikes this war has seen. This is the scenario Trump named directly on Easter Sunday. And according to international law experts cited by NPR and Just Security, it may constitute a war crime. A group of 100 international law scholars published an open letter warning that destroying objects indispensable to the survival of civilians, including power plants and water infrastructure, violates both the Geneva Conventions and US domestic military law. But here is the brutal strategic logic. As Axios previously reported, Trump's own advisors assess that Iran's leadership doesn't feel the pain of the military campaign as it currently stands. Destroying Iran's power grid, which runs hospitals, water treatment, food logistics, creates unbearable civilian pressure that forces the regime toward a deal or forces the Iranian public to pressure its own government. It is the most morally precarious position in this entire conflict. It is also, strategically, the most direct path to ending Iranian intransigence over the Strait. The geopolitical leverage shifts permanently if Tuesday arrives and the lights go out across Tehran. The question is whether that leverage produces a deal or a catastrophe. If you want to track these global shifts as they happen, every strike, every deadline, every back-channel signal, subscribe to this channel right now. We cover all of it in real time with source analysis. Now, back to scenario 3. Trump told Fox News' Trey Yingst on Easter Sunday morning. And this is the statement that almost nobody is wargaming. That if Iran does not make a deal fast, he is considering blowing everything up and taking over the oil. Not reopening the Strait, not restoring freedom of navigation, taking the oil. Preceding every other move in this scenario is a fundamental redefinition of what this war is actually about. The $1.5 trillion defense budget request, a 42% increase confirmed by Fox News, combined with 2,500 Marines deploying from Japan and the USS Gerald R. Ford already positioned in the region, paints a picture of a logistical architecture designed not for a 5-week air campaign, but for long-term force projection in the Persian Gulf. Scenario 3 is the world where the US does not leave when the bombs stop falling, where the Strait becomes de facto an American-managed waterway, and where the entire geopolitical map of the Middle East is permanently redrawn by a president who said, "Check the oil" on Easter Sunday and meant every word. This is the scenario nobody in the media is talking about, because it requires believing that two things can be simultaneously true. Trump genuinely wants a deal, and Iran is genuinely ready to make one. The signals are there if you know where to look. Trump told Trey Yings there is a good chance of a deal by Monday. Axios reported that Iranian negotiators have been offered limited amnesty as part of a potential settlement. CBS News confirmed that indirect US-Iran communications are active through multiple mediating states. And Iranian President Pezeshkian's own language describing the current moment as a crossroads between confrontation and engagement contains the diplomatic texture of a leader looking for an exit that saves face. Scenario 4 is the world where an Iran deal is announced Monday, the Strait begins reopening within 72 hours, oil prices crash back toward $80, and Trump declares total victory on Truth Social with a post that contains 3 exclamation points and the phrase, "greatest deal in history." It is audacious, it is the highest risk outcome for both sides' domestic politics. But after 36 days of war, 2 downed American aircraft, $109 per barrel oil, and a missing airman recovered from the mountains of Iran, both sides have more reason than ever to want an exit. The question is whether the price of peace is one both can actually pay. So, the juice versus the squeeze. The reward if Trump's power plant day ultimatum forces a deal, the Strait reopens, oil prices fall, American families stop paying $4 plus at the pump, and a war that nobody planned an exit for finds one before it consumes the entire Middle East. That is a genuine, consequential, generational victory, if it happens. The cost if it doesn't. Power plants go dark across Iran. 90 million civilians lose access to electricity, potentially water, potentially medical services. International law experts have already called it a potential war crime. 100 legal scholars have already signed a letter saying so. Protests against the war are erupting not just in Tehran but in Tel Aviv, where hundreds marched this weekend demanding an end to the conflict. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy has called Trump utterly unhinged and publicly discussed the 25th Amendment. The war is 36 days old, and it has no publicly stated end condition other than a deal that has not yet materialized. Here is the final warning. The 48-hour deadline expires tomorrow. Tuesday is either the day a deal is announced, or the day power goes out across Iran, or the day a massive escalation from Tehran makes every scenario we have outlined irrelevant. The biggest inflection point of the 21st century's most consequential war is about to arrive. The question is not whether you are watching. The question is whether you are prepared for any of the 4 outcomes we have just laid out. Monday is coming, and the world is not ready.